At Enchanted Fiber here in North Cape May, and I want to thank Historic Cold Spring Village for bringing this to us. And please remember to visit their website at hcsv.org. Today we're going to talk about felting dryer balls. Now, dryer balls are something that are good not only as something fun to do, but also as a way to protect the environment. You don't need to use dryer sheets if you're using dryer balls in your laundry. So I wanted to start off by showing you the materials that you'll need for this project. This is roving. It is simply wool that has been cut from a sheep, cleaned, and washed. So all the little pebbles and dirt have been removed and it's been washed and it's all nice and beautiful and fluffy. So this is one of the materials that you'll need. You'll also need a felting needle. Now, a felting needle is not like a regular needle. It's not only very pointy, but it has barbs on it that catch the fiber to pull forward. So that way you end up with something that is textured and not just like a sewing needle. So you'll need one of these, and you'll need lots of this, and a ball of wool. Just old scrap wool, just a little ball that you might have hanging around the house. So those are the three things that you'll need to complete these projects. Oh, wait, one more. Yes, this is a nylon stocking. So any nylon stocking that you might have, old ones, pantyhose, anything that's hanging around your house, a nylon stocking. So we're going to start, we make a little tiny ball out of our wool, and that way you have a base on which to felt your roving. So that little tiny ball becomes the interior of your felted dryer ball. So the roving is simply put around and then you begin to poke with this barbed needle, carefully I might add, because when it goes in your finger, the barbs are there and they do take some flesh with them when they come out. So you're going to poke, 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 poke. And as you can see, it all starts to flatten and become more textured and less fluffy. So we're getting rid of the fluff with this needle. The needle is poking in the fibers, pulling them out, and you're ending up with a smoother surface. So here's where we just poked the needle, and here's where we haven't poked. So the needle is flattening the wool so that you can start to get something that looks like this. So after a few minutes of poking the little puff, you can continue and you will start to see it get more and more flat. Again, I urge you to please make sure you do not stick this needle into your finger. I can tell you from personal experience, it really hurts and it bleeds a lot. So, and as many of you know, if you embroider, that your own saliva will take blood stains off. Not somebody else's, only your own. So as we keep poking, 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 we're going to have a flatter and flatter surface. Now the flatness of the surface is what's going to create the roundness of the ball. And after some time, this is not a really quick process, after some time of this poking action, what you end up with is something that looks like this. We have a round ball. Now the round ball is fairly firm and you want to make sure that it's about the consistency of a tennis ball. These can be made any size that makes you comfortable. You don't want to make it too small because you don't want it to be sucked into any of the parts of your dryer when you throw it in. So, you're going to make sure that it's big enough to avoid being sucked down into any of the hoses in your dryer, but small enough so that it's not taking up a lot of your laundry space. So when this is in the dryer, it's going to agitate with the clothes that are going around, and it's going to keep things from wrinkling, and it's also going to keep things from getting staticky. So remember that the ball needs to be firm like a tennis ball and big enough to not get sucked into the hoses of your dryer. So I like a tennis ball size. Some people like to go a little bit bigger, baseball size, but this is my particular favorite. Once your ball is this big and you are satisfied with the denseness of it, because you've poked and poked and poked and poked. Lots of people like to do this for stress reduction. They just poke away, poke away. You take the two or the balls that you've made. I usually put two in a stocking. So this contains two little dryer balls like this. Those are in here, and you knot it between the balls. So there's one here and one here, two knots. And this is going to go in your washing machine on hot with maybe some towels or some sheets. Not a full load, but a few towels, a few sheets. And it's going to be hot water. Drop this in with your load and let it go through one cycle. When you take it out, you're going to have this little thing, but it's going to be all wet. After it's wet and you are going to do your dryer load of towels or sheets, you take this in the little stockings and throw them into the dryer and go through a full cycle until they are dry, not damp, dry. So when they're all done, you can either cut them out or if you can, peel them out of your stocking, and they're going to look like this. So you can see that the texture is actually slightly different than the one that we have felted but not washed and dried yet. This one is going to be smoother, and it looks almost like a boiled wool jacket or coat that you might have seen or worn. So this becomes like a boiled wool, and this is really wet felted. So it went through the hot water wash, it went through a hot air dry. It's removed from the stocking and it's ready to go into your dryer for use. Now, I would recommend that if you use colors like this is a dryer ball, a little bit bigger in size, maybe the size of a softball. If you use this, make sure you test for color fastness before you put this in with your laundry. If these are natural wool colors, you won't have a problem with color fastness. But if they are dyed wools or dyed roving, you really need to test them first because you may end up with some colors you hadn't anticipated. So now we have our two balls that come out of the stocking. Like so. Now these are ready for use, and as you can see again, they look like boiled wool. They are wet felted balls, and you put them in the dryer in place of dryer sheets. So it's not only pretty cost effective because now this can last for many, many, many loads, probably hundreds. I have not worn one of mine out yet, but it also eliminates disposable dryer sheets, and they're not particularly good for the environment. As you know, they don't break down very quickly in a landfill. They hang around for a long, long time. So this is a great opportunity. I want to show you a couple of others that are very different sizes. So these two are about the same. I would call them about the size of a softball. This one about the size of a tennis ball. Now we do have some larger ones, and I think some people feel a little more confident, especially if they have a larger commercial dryer, like if you have a large family and you have a large dryer, that this size is more appropriate to avoid the ball being sucked into the hoses in your dryer. So this would be about the largest size that we would do. So they would look like this. And again, that look and texture of boiled wool. So I hope you'll be able to take advantage of this little tutorial to help you. Remember, your materials are just a little bit of wool as your starter, the center of your ball, and then you're going to take that little bit of wool and you're going to surround it with fuzzy roving, and as you carefully poke this with a needle, the fuzz will start to collapse. It will be less fuzzy and it will start to take on the texture of real, of, more of a felted object. So if you're thinking about if you bought felt in the store, um, or boiled wool in the store, that's the texture that you're going for. You're going for the texture of felted wool. So you're going to be felt, felt, felt. And again, I recommend, please, please, please watch your fingers. This needle is not only sharp, but barbed. So, also, another method that you can use if you feel that you're concerned about stabbing yourself, you can use any type of small styrofoam square. You can set this on the square and poke that way, and that way you won't be holding the object as you're poking. So once you start getting it really going, you get to this phase of your project and you're still poking away, but it's getting rounder and rounder. And don't forget, it doesn't have to be perfectly round as you're poking, because it will respond to the oils in your hands, and you can mold it and shape it and make it rounder or more oblong as you go along with your hands. So this is the texture. It's nice and firm like a baseball. This one about the size of a tennis ball. These about the size of baseballs. This about the size of a softball. And you can choose any of these sizes for whatever fits your laundry needs. So whatever your dryer will accommodate. And again, remember, those nylon stockings, you can buy them anywhere in the grocery store, in the retail, any retail market. And the balls go inside the stocking, poke them down, tie a knot, and into the washing machine it goes. I would not recommend going all the way to the edge, because sometimes the knot won't hold and you'll wind up with little fuzzy things flying around your washing machine. So probably end about here so that you have a nice length at the top. And into the hot water wash they go, into the dryer, and you're not only saving yourself some money, but you're also doing something really positive for the environment. Go green. Thank you for watching.